had a good weekend, and if you celebrated a Merry Christmas. And hopefully it's not too cold where you are. It is freezing this morning where I'm at, but I don't want to turn up my heat because then it's probably going to get really hot in my house later. So that's the conundrum on the cold mornings, is how much do we want the heat to be on. So hey Hondro, how are you? I hope everybody is doing good. Hey Lindsay, how are you? And if you guys see any smoke behind me, I'm burning dragon's blood incense. I don't know if you can see it back there, so that's what's going on. Hey Madeline, hey Hannah. Oh, thank you, Lindsay. I'm like not a huge like color person for my wardrobe usually, but I will wear green, blue, purple, and pink, but usually everything else is like black, white, gray, brown. Very much a neutrals person. So hey Ronette, how are you? I know, I'm glad you made it, Hondro. So do you guys, since we're not going to be on live again before we get into the next calendar year, is there anything in particular that you guys do, either like your own family tradition or culturally, to prepare for the new calendar year? Because mind you, it's not the spiritual new year. Aries season, the first day of Aries season, is the true spiritual new year. But that's why I call it the calendar year. Hey Donna, I'm glad you made it. I'm gonna be cleaning the ever-loving shit out of my house and organizing things. Oh my goodness, well everybody say good morning to Whitney. What are you doing up here? You never get up here. She has been so up my ass lately. Like, she's always followed me around and stuff, but like lately, like, she cannot not be in the same room as me. And usually she's asleep at this time, so she's never jumped on the table ever. I'm like, what are you doing? Girl, get down. Get down, Mama, because I don't want you to knock anything down. Oh. She said she's going to be the star of the show, and Mom is just being a hater right now. I don't want her to knock my tripod over because she was getting a little bit too close to where everything is. I was like, no. Which, by the way, when you guys see me next week, you might see me in a new setup. We'll have to see, because I'm going to try to like move some of my furniture around and like create like a corner that I can just consistently have my stuff set up at to film in, so that I can actually get like a better tripod and lights and everything. But I don't know if I'm exactly gonna have the room to be able to do it, because I live in a smallish place. And I have to make sure it's not something that like she would like constantly be like running past and knocking over, either a kiddo would or something. But so that's what I'm doing to prepare for the new year, is just getting things in order in the house and business wise, because I know like certain cultures like believe like don't clean the house before New Year's and you do it in the new year. I was always taught clean all your shit up and have it like sparkling clean by midnight, and so that you start off the new year with all of that stuff taken care of and in order. So yes, we've done that too. The grapes. Do you guys go under the table and do it, and while you're wearing red underwear? Because I know some people take it to the next level with that step too. And I do a lot of spiritual cleansing of my space while I'm physically cleansing it too. So I be washing my walls with Florida water and really be deep cleaning. So, but everything that I do for the calendar new year, I also do it in preparation for the spiritual new year as well. So, and I usually do it pretty much like every like solstice as well, because I like having like a really cleansed, organized energy reset, you know, in a good way type of a space to start each season and welcome in that new energy that comes in with each season. So, oh, okay, Lindsay. I was like, so you guys just ate them like normal then? You might do it this year, Sana. Yeah. I mean, hey, what's the worst that happens, right? Like nothing, but at least you're honoring your ancestors and carrying on like the traditions that they probably are the ones that started within your family. So, you know, I like doing all that type of stuff. That's why it's like I didn't celebrate Christmas. I'm not a big holiday person anyways. But we still had fish on Christmas Eve just because that's more of like, you know, a cultural thing with Italians just as much as it is like a Catholic tradition and something that my family participated in. So I just was doing it in the spirit of carrying on a tradition that my ancestors did and honoring and connecting with them on that day through that. But even if I was a holiday person, I would not have been celebrating anyways. I would have been abstaining in honor of the people, you know, and standing in solidarity with Palestine. And I can't post this video publicly on YouTube because me and Dario like dug real fucking deep into some shit and exposed some real serious ass shit. And we would probably both lose our channels if we had done this publicly. But if you are a member of Patreon, I posted the links to it. If you're not and you want to join us, you can join us at patreon.com/psychicbellalove. But we discovered that a lot of money that is wrapped up in skims has deep connections to Israel via the Kushners, who are investors in that company. So if you are partaking in the boycotting of certain corporations like McDonald's and Starbucks because they are supporters of Israel, then you might not want to support any of the Kardashian family businesses, especially Skims. So and Patreon is where we have exclusive content. That's where all our Nikki content is for the moment, since the duds are still plotting and planning and watching. And we go into the Illuminati. That's where I do all my mediumship readings, and that is the only place that I take requests for celebrity psychic readings. So if you want to join us, Lindsay linked it in the chat, and once again it is patreon.com/psychicbellalove, and all of the topics that we are covering in today's live were chosen by my patrons as well. So dude, yeah, shout out to the people in Palestine, and also shout out to all of the people who are also going through unfortunate genocides and having their own places that they live stripped from them in Africa, in particular in the Congo. There is still a horrendous human trafficking problem taking place in Libya. So shout out to the oppressed people that are living under dictator regimes in North Korea and Iran. You know, there is so much going on globally, and unfortunately, certain topics seem to kind of get more coverage or more support than others, you know, because And this isn't to take away from anything and say, oh, we should stop talking about one thing and less, you know, and start talking more about the other things. It's just that I myself am trying to educate myself on everything that is going on over in Africa at the moment, because more information is readily available about what's going on in like Palestine and Israel. And so I want to acknowledge that I am trying to educate myself and I'm not ignoring that topic. I just am somebody that likes to make sure that I know really what I'm talking about before I open my mouth and, you know, speak on it, because I don't want to spread misinformation. So I'm educating myself though, and in the meantime, like I said, my prayers, all of my thoughts, all of my support, and I do want to bring awareness to that topic, and we will talk about it more in the future as I know more about it and can make more of an educated stance on it as well. So some days I am so grateful for the life I have, because there are people out there who cannot even choose the way they live and have a normal life. Exactly. I mean, you know, we really are so privileged, even though we, you know, are not in a perfect space. But when you do live in a first world country or a more developed country, you do have so much privileges that people in other places just don't. And you know, I am somebody that has a lot of sympathy and empathy towards migrants and immigration, because number one, like I was always, my family on both sides are farmers. And while my cattle rancher grandfather didn't, we just had like everybody in the family worked there. So they didn't really have to hire like outside help. But my grandfather, who did, you know, raise walnuts and had other seasonal crops and stuff, we depended on migrant work to be able to do that. And so my grandpa always made sure that we were aware that like every single thing that we had, you know, was because of the hard work that the people that were helping him put into us having the privilege that we did. And, you know, he really educated us on that topic and everything. And we had a bunkhouse where migrant workers lived, so I like firsthand was like always, you know, interacting with everybody and everything. I would play with the kids and stuff after school and everything. So, and I've gotten the privilege of getting to know so many people who have unfortunately had to become refugees and leave their own countries because of political unrest or even religious extremism or whatever. And it really is so heartbreaking. And I hate that the media portrays it as just, you know, oh, everybody's just trying to flee their country because they want to only come here and take advantage of the welfare system or things like that. Well, boo boo, I've also worked in the welfare system, and you cannot fucking get it. You have to be a citizen of the United States to receive welfare in the first place. So let's just knock that the fuck off. And secondly, even the programs that do cater towards immigrants and migrants, those are separate programs that are not a part of the regular welfare system, and those are completely funded by donations and grants. So what they are able to give to people is very little, or they have to only pick a very small amount of people that they can actually help in those types of situations. So I've seen both sides of it, and there's so much slander and misinformation and just prejudice like when those topics are talked about in the mainstream media. But you know what we see going on in Palestine right now, the people that are going, you know, the poor Palestinians, like those are the types of people that are immigrating to our country and trying to escape things like that. So if we can understand that, oh my God, they have nowhere to go, and it's just, if you stay, you're 99%, you know, guaranteed that you're probably going to get injured or killed or lose your family, or get the fuck out of Dodge and hope that somewhere else is going to take you so you have some chance of survival. I think we can have a little more empathy for subjects like that and people who have to go through things like that. So I know we got all off on a little tangent, but those are this stuff that it's like pisses me off sometimes, the way I see it being talked about constantly. People would be surprised in my country, so many young men and women are taking boats to be able to get to America in the middle of winter so they could feed their families because of poverty and lack of resources. I mean, that's the thing that's so heartbreaking too. Like, you know, when we saw those Syrians on the boats trying to get to the coast of Greece, you have to, or in the 80s and the early 90s, there was a lot of like coverage that we would see on TV of, you know, inflatable rafts that were loaded up with people trying to escape Cuba. And it's like, you have to be in a really, really desperate situation to risk your life and to do that, because they don't get on there knowing that there's no risk. They know that there's a good chance that whatever they're using as their flotation device might end up getting, you know, capsized, or pirates could come along, or some other crazy, horrible thing could happen. So, you know, just keep that in mind the next time you want to judge those situations, that it's like, these are people that literally feel like they have no other option for survival than to risk their life in deadly ways to try to just find some place that they can be safe. And it sure ain't easy to go to another country and have to start all over too. Like I always say, if somebody plopped me in another country and was like, figure it out, I would be fucked. Oh my God, I have a hard time getting around like the place that I freaking live without my GPS. So I can't even imagine having to figure everything out, from the language to the culture to the way that just things are done, where you go shopping, the money aspect of it. Like, that's so much that I think we don't give people credit for. And I always have so much admiration for people who are able to do that and make it work for themselves. So, yep, they work and pay taxes, but they don't get the benefits that are available to us as citizens. So, well, and exactly too. We stole this country from the people that were here before it, and it used to be called Turtle Islands. And guess what? Christopher Columbus ain't a real person either, but that's a story for another day, or you can go into Patreon. I talked about that there. So we have a lot of fucking audacity too to get mad over people wanting to come to the country that we stole from somebody else in the first place. Like, come on. So guys, let's switch to something that's a little more lighthearted. Although I guess this is still depressing what I'm about to talk about. Sorry, I was like, you'll get it in a second. So, allegedly, I keep seeing this being talked about, like, online, on different publications. I've seen several YouTubers mentioning it, people that, you know, follow, like, the business parts of the entertainment industry. So apparently, because we all know, we've been talking about this, that Warner Brothers as a whole, and for those who don't know or have forgotten, Atlantic is owned by Warner Brothers. They're the parent company, and Atlantic is one of its subsidiaries. They've been struggling for a long time financially, and while the Barbie movie was a huge hit, you know, you need consistent hits. And when you're hundreds of millions or even $1 billion in the hole, a movie making that amount of money isn't really going to like fix everything. And so they've been talking about that Universal New Line Cinema was going to purchase Warner Brothers and all of the, you know, companies that go along with it, which would mean also the Shade Room is a part of that, TMZ is a part of that. They, you know, any of these big companies, they always have a bazillion other companies that they own or that are connected through some way or another. So there's some deal, because there's some like franchises that Warner Brothers owns, like the licensing to and stuff, that I guess like Universal New Line Cinema wants to own. So they're expected to have a buyout merger type of a situation in the next year, possibly early 2025 if it just drags out because of paperwork purposes. So Spirit was saying, you know, that's obviously because anytime that one company gets bought out by another, the new owners go through and look at the books and say, okay, what's draining money because now we need to make this thing that we just bought profitable. And so anything that they feel like is not, you know, financially doable for them any longer, they're going to get cut. So we're going to see a lot of people under any of the labels that Warner and Atlantic own or associated with that brand are going to be cutting lots of people's contracts and releasing them and letting them go. And I feel like Sweetie is definitely going to be one of those people. And let's not forget that in February, Carlos's contract with Atlantic comes up for renegotiation, according to everything that I've looked up on the internet. So good luck to her too. But, you know, there's a lot of people that I think we're going to be like, oh, and hearing a lot about people, you know, no longer being signed and either be going more of the independent route or going, I feel like in Sweetie's case, it'll be more towards moving towards acting. If you guys saw, I had predicted that we were going to see her do more endorsements and she's back on that bag again. And I think, you know, then we'll hear about a lot of other people doing what Iggy Azalea and Megan Thee Stallion are currently doing, where it's like they're independent, but they have that distribution deal with another label. I think we're going to see a lot of people doing that. And then a lot of people either going away, or if they are more of a profitable person and they just needed a good label behind them, getting signed by new ones. But expect a lot of moving around and switching around and people being released when this goes through, because from what people are saying, it's like guaranteed that it's gonna happen. They're just in the negotiation stage of how much are we gonna pay for things. So, but I feel like that deal will happen. And if something, you know, doesn't pan out that Universal buys them out, we'll probably hear that Disney did or another company, because it's been known that Warner's been struggling for years now. And just to remind everybody too that, you know, at the same time that Atlantic told Carlos that if she wanted a music video for Bozo, she was gonna have to pay for it herself. But yet they bankrolled the Barbie video for Nicki and Ice Spice. So, you know, that has to burn Carlos's asshole. She probably has gone through a million bottles of Preparation H, knowing that her label was like, no money for you. We already gave it to Nicki and Ice Spice instead. Sorry, that just always makes me laugh because it's just funny. I'm petty and I'm mean and I own it. So, hey, Preston. But, and you know, the sad thing is because when you think about it, Jack Harlow and like Lizzo were like the people that were carrying Atlantic, but people didn't really seem to be all that excited about Jack Harlow's latest song. And we all know that Lizzo got canceled, so they can't like count on her at the moment. So if they do let Carlos release an album, she is gonna be under a lot of fucking pressure to deliver. So they need to go listen to all the untalented artists they signed to uplift themselves. I mean, that's the thing though. It's like, but do you guys see, this is another Onika Voodoo moment. Because you go from, you literally were signing all of these untalented reciters, trying so hard to take down the queen, only for you to then have to grovel on your knees to work with the queen because y'all needed that soundtrack sales to try to turn a little bit of things around for you with the Barbie movie and everything, and you're still fucking failing and on the edge of like getting shut down. Because that's the thing, Universal could buy Warner Brothers and say, guess what? There's no more Atlantic Records anymore. Y'all are under one little company. We're merging you with the Warner Brothers thing, and we're cutting every fucking artist except for Lizzo. They could do that if they wanted to, you know, and then Atlantic is really screwed, but they're getting their karma. Go broke trying to replace the queen. Look what happened to you. And look at how the other one who was trying to replace the queen is going broke and doesn't pay her rent. Are we sure that Sexy Red wants to work with Carlos, though? Because when I initially read that, I took what she said as, when she said, now look at what's next, I took it as her meaning, oh, Carlos is trying to work with me too. Like, she always tries to go run behind Nikki and steal people after Nikki worked with them, or the people that have a wave going on, so she can attach herself to them. I mean, I could be wrong because I haven't looked into it like psychically or anything, but that was just like my first impression. I was like, oh, she's dragging her. And then everybody started saying that they were going to work together. And I was like, well, she better not, because I liked what I thought that happened in the first place better anyway. Well, I feel like Nikki did that for Ice Spice. I mean, because she has that distribution deal with Ice. And so it benefits Nikki to do that, because then look at how much that boosted Ice Spice's profile. So, you know, then Nikki makes money off of it every which way. Dude, anybody that is hot right now or wants to have a good long career needs to never work with Carlos, because she literally is a vampire and sucks at the life and the soul out of everybody that she works with careers, the same way that the Kardashians do to the men they date. So if you want to ruin your life, date a Kardashian or work with Carlos. If you give a fuck about your career, stay the hell away from the both of them. So it's just common sense at this point. Some people literally just are literal vampires, and she is one of them. So speaking of people who may be vampires in the energetic sense, which vampire do y'all want to talk about first? We got Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater, Jonathan Owens and Simone Biles, or Tia Mowry and her weird single life, and does she regret leaving Corey now? Robot had poor Blue at the Kardashian party. I didn't see that. Simone and Mr. Biles. Oh my God. I just have to say, it is kind of funny though, because remember when everybody dragged her in those like courthouse wedding pictures? Because remember, they did like the civil ceremony, and then they did like the actual like big wedding overseas. So they had to get married in the States first, and how people were dragging her, saying that she was wearing a Shein dress and like all this stuff. And now everybody's like, justice for Simone Biles, she deserves better. I'm like, dude, literally like a year ago, y'all were dragging her and saying that she had the most low budget wedding. And now now it's a whole other story. So I guess everybody wants Simone. So let's see. Boy. Okay. Let's just ask Spirit what they have to say about this relationship first and foremost to start. What do you got for Simone Biles and Jonathan Owens' relationship? Thank you. I would say it's so funny how, like, the tables always switch, like, as far as, like, social media and what they got to say about somebody and their situation and how they'll, like, flip-flop from one side to the other. So... listen, guys, this is, you know, I told you guys when Kiki tried to act like everything was all good in the hood after the Usher concert situation and her baby daddy getting online saying, you know, what he said about her. And I told you guys when we did the reading then, I said they're going to break up and we're going to hear about it and it's going to be bad and messy. But right now, she's just doesn't want to, like, let the public think, oh, y'all won and I dumped him because you didn't like what he said about me. And so, you know, you kind of have to think about it sometimes where it's like, when stuff like this happens, you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't, right? Like, what are you going to do? Let social media break up you and your husbands? So then you can be like, there, are you guys happy? You know, so... I mean, I get it. It was like, it's fucked up, like what both of them said. But, you know, on the flip side, it's like, how, as you as the woman, like, how are you really honestly supposed to handle that? Like, I wouldn't know how to handle that if I got put in that situation. Like, what are you supposed to do? Just be like, okay, I broke up with him, like, immediately. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just, it's an odd, you feel bad for the woman when she gets put in that situation. And it's like, you don't know, maybe she is going to dump his ass, but she just needs a minute to do it, you know, and get herself out of that situation first. And then you'll hear, like, yeah, I got rid of that motherfucker. Like, you don't know. Yeah, you do the off cheat thing. Y'all won. You got what you wanted. No, motherfucker, you cheated on her, but it's our fault. That situation, I do have to say, when he tried to blame everybody on social media, which it was like, we know that was a PR stunt and they got back together anyways, but I'm just saying, like, the audacity to try to blame social media for your wife leaving for you sticking your dick in somebody else. Like, go look in the fucking mirror if you're gonna start screaming that somebody won and made somebody get broken up. No, it was you. You're the one that made that happen, not us. We just commented on it. Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing, and listen, I don't be defending any of these politicians and whatnot, but just as many people that were like back in the day when like the Clinton-Lewinsky situation happened and the way that people were just dragging Hillary for absolute filth, you know, that she stayed with him, but it's like, you guys probably would have also destroyed her for breaking up her family, especially in the middle of her husband's presidency. And then you would have blamed her if his career took a nosedive. And she would have been this horrible woman. And no wonder you had to cheat on her, because look at how she has no compassion and she didn't try to save her family. And it's like, she would have gotten hated on and shit all over regardless of what she chose to do in that situation. So, you know, it's like when people like Nikki get online and say, I'm not going to let y'all like run my life just because people were mad that she married Kenny. It's like, well, somebody's going to have a problem with it, whatever they do anyways. So you're never going to please everybody. So you just have to do what you know is best for you. But let's see what the cards have to say, because I was just talking about situations and didn't have any connection to these two. Alrighty, so, whew. Oh, this man is gonna cheat on her so fucking bad. Okay. I had a conversation with somebody I can't remember what blog it was on, but we were talking about how he was giving very much like, I know I ain't shit compared to you, but I'm gonna try to like drag your ass down and make you think that I'm the prize, so you don't see me for who I really am and walk away from me type of vibes. And that is exactly what the cards are saying that this man is. He is very manipulative and very narcissistic. I'm not saying he is a diagnosed narcissist, because everybody wants to diagnose people these days, but he has a narcissistic personality and energy to him. And he really is trying to set up this like emotional and mental trap when it comes to her of, think that I'm the greatest thing that ever walked this earth, ignore the problematic things that I say and do. So that way, if you do start to have an issue with something because you have the idea that I'm the prize and I make you feel like I may walk away because you're challenging me, you're gonna shut the fuck up and put up with it because you don't want to lose me. So inevitably, when I get caught cheating, you're gonna fight to steal me and keep me away from the other woman and hold on to me rather than dump my ass because I'm a cheating ass loser. Because, child, the way that not only we had 3 cheating cards here, and 2 of them are right next to each other. And Spirit is saying to take this 8 of Swords as he really, you know, the mental entrapment, the being caught up in the delusion and the idea of, oh, you know, I gotta ignore certain things. I have to walk on eggshells. I have to keep him happy. He's got her in that space mentally. And so she's gonna keep forgiving us bullshit. You know who else is in a situation like that? Tamar. And I told y'all they were gonna get back together because that fucking narc can't leave her alone. And look at how he went in a hotel room after he freaking publicly went out with Tommy just for both of them to play this fucking mental fuck with Tamar game. Then he goes and eats Tommy's ass only to turn around and go fucking kiss Tamar on the mouth and re-propose to her on Christmas. So that's the kind of shit that these men do. And this man may not do it as publicly as Mr. Little white boy who likes to fuck with black women and thinks that he's, you know, the Justin Timberlake of lawyers. But he very much is up to the same bullshit too. So, and Spirit is saying for her, there's such a lack of experience when it comes to dating that she like, she's Bambi. Like, she stood no chance because he knew like, oh, he just spotted that she was the perfect victim basically. Because it's like, well, how many boyfriends have you really had? How many dates have you really gone on? How many relationships have you been in that you would know right from wrong when it comes to dating and like what is weird and stuff? You don't have that experience. So I took advantage of that because you don't know that this is not normal. Because you haven't seen something better in your own life or reflected to you that's different. And remember, these types of guys, they're always so fucking charming. They'll spend money on you because it's showing that that's how he came in. He came in full of lies and bullshit, but he came in splashing out on her, promising her a family, telling her, oh my God, I love you so much, you're amazing. You know, and turning up all the charm. And it wasn't until then she's absolutely like stuck in love with him and thinking she found the greatest guy of her life, the rug gets ripped out from under her and then it's too late. And he is definitely going to try to put a baby in her too. Because then he has her more trapped and more stuck. And then she's more likely to turn a blind eye to him doing the things he does. He's an athlete, right, guys? Like a professional athlete? Yeah, okay. And the sad thing is, I keep getting him being the one that ultimately walks away from this relationship, not her. And it's Spirit saying leaving for somebody else and her being left with this family that they had started together and having to pick up all the pieces and clean up, you know, that mess while he's off with his next, you know, partner. So it'll be a scandal when it happens because people are definitely going to find out that there was crossover between those two people. And I feel the person that he leaves her for taking a lot of backlash too for being the mistress and wanting to partake, you know, in a relationship and playing, you know, that third person in somebody else's relationship. But right now she's in this place where she is absolutely just so emotionally dependent and connected to this man. And he sees her and Spirit saying he definitely knew who the fuck she was. He's lying. And he saw her as Miss Moneybags and an opportunity. There wasn't love from his side of things. It was, oh, well, if I marry Simone Biles, she's got money. She's gonna also bring a lot of attention to me. And because then people will know who I am. Because think about it. How many football players are there on each team? A hell of a lot of them. How many of them do we know? There's a lot of football players out there that people never talk about and don't know who they are unless they're like a super stan of like the Raiders. Like they don't know who all the fucking linebackers and running backs and tight ends and all of that is unless they are like somebody that for whatever reason becomes this standout either because they did something crazy to like win a game when their team was way down and they've jumped out to be this amazing superstar player, or because they date somebody famous and then everybody all of a sudden is like, oh, look at so-and-so's new boyfriend or husband or whatever. So he was not confident in his ability to be the breakout star player that would, you know, get all the attention and the endorsements as a result of that. So it was like, if I'm attached to somebody who is this big name and has money for themselves, not only is that going to make advertisers and sponsors and people, you know, in the industry that want to, you know, promote my new shoes, whatever, here's a bag for it type of people coming his way, but it's like, yeah, and then we can also make money as a couple too and probably demand even more. So it's very much opportunity that he saw, but there's no real long-term plan to stay with her. It's, I'm going to stay with you until I've gotten what I feel like I can out of this, and then I'm going to move on to the next thing. Whereas she, poor thing, went into this being like, I'm getting married forever and having the happy family life that I didn't feel like I got growing up. And this, you guys, is why I always say we have to work on ourselves. We have to heal, because then you end up being Simone or Tamar, you know, or Khloe Kardashian, and we don't want that at all, you know. And it's like, I love Tamar, I want so good for her, and I see her just with these horrible guys constantly, and I'm just like, oh my god, Tamar, like I just wish I could kidnap you and like hold you down and like make you like heal or something, because she just deserves the, you know, and all she wants at the end of the day is love and somebody to be there for her, and probably like the family that she felt like she never really got to have growing up. Same thing with Simone, but you know, unfortunately they meet these wolves in sheep's clothing and put them in these spaces where it's only causing more to heal from in the long run. So we got any questions about this situation? Spirit's not giving a time frame. They're saying we got a few years of this nonsense. But expect that we'll probably see them announce a baby this next year. So, is he attracted to her? Spirit said kind of, but not really. Yeah, put question in front of it, guys, because when I have to squint to read stuff, it gives me migraines. But it's like she's not his typical type, and I feel like we either see him with a white girl or an Instagram baddie type after their situation ends. Hannah, Spirit was saying that there's something about her not having, I don't know Simone's like background and all of that, like her personal life, so I can't say, you know, exactly like what that situation was, but there was something about not having like a certain family dynamic that she always craved growing up and wanting to make that for herself, but Spirit saying, you know, obviously it was not with the right person, so it's not going to work out that way. And secondly, Spirit was also saying that she has a real lack of like dating experience, so that's why he was able to take advantage of it, because it's like she truly like doesn't know, like, hey, like some of the stuff that you were experiencing while you were even dating this man were huge red flags, but if you haven't really had a whole lot of experience, you wouldn't really know like, oh, that's not okay, or I should pay more attention to that side of things. So Mimi, these narcissistic dudes do not give especially, you know, this is the thing when it comes to like a lot of like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but it's like a lot of like CEOs or people who are in the industry are like, you know, either actual narcissists and sociopaths. Like they're not going to go like on a murder spree or something, you know, but that sociopath energy that they have like is what makes them, you know, such great Wall Street bankers or directors or whatever, because they don't really give a fuck about feelings and they're all just like super focused on like getting to the like bottom line and the result. And so, you know, I just feel like there's so many people in Hollywood in general, but especially it seems like a lot of these like athletic guys where it's just to them, they're more concerned about opportunity. And I think that maybe sometimes like we think that like only like the women in Hollywood would be the types that would like date or sleep with certain people in order to like climb the ladder or get certain opportunities or whatever. But Spirit's saying it's like both genders and every sexual orientation, like they all partake in that, which is why sometimes you see some people that you're like, why are you with the Geico caveman, Selena Gomez? And I'm not saying that's why that relationship is happening. I'm just saying when you do see somebody that it's like, you're so pretty, what the fuck are you doing with that guy? It's because that guy might like be, you know, a director's son or something that's gonna like help them land some like Oscar type of a role and change their whole career. So the guys do it just as much as the girls do. I mean, that's Hollywood is, you know, and athletics falls into Hollywood. So does the government. They're all puppets anyways. But it's like, it's a dog eat dog world. And that's why, like, I always say, like, if I was ever going to be a celebrity, I would not have children and I wouldn't date anybody. I would be an asexual loner and stay to myself and not probably have any friends, because that's really the only way that you can protect yourself in that industry. So no, Mimi, he doesn't have a guilty conscience. He's all about himself and doing what he thinks that he needs to do. to get where he wants in life. Lindsay's spirit is saying that when Simone takes a step back, and hopefully it happens after this relationship, because again, if something is dependent on you healing, you can't put a time frame on it. But if she takes a step back to find herself and work on herself and heal, then she definitely can meet her soulmate and her Russell Wilson type person. That's the type of guy you can just see it on him. Like, sometimes you can just see how like slimy they are. Like, they think that they're fooling everybody, but you can just see it and you're just like, you're so gross. Like, you're so full of yourself and you have absolutely no like real reason to be, and they just think that they're like the greatest thing on earth. It's nasty. I feel that way about that guy from Vanderpump Rules. Like, everybody was all, oh my God, I can't believe he slept with the 10-year partnerships girlfriend's sister or whatever the fuck it was that situation happened. And like, I saw some pictures and clips of him and I was like, first of all, that guy, he is so gross. But secondly, it just had like douchebag written right across his forehead. And I was like, y'all are really surprised that he turned out to be that way, because he just looks like he would do something like that. So how do their families feel? Well, Spirit saying that as far as, and no more questions after this, because we got to move on to the other people that we got, because I have to get off at certain times because I have clients that I got to call. But Spirit saying, like, as far as like his family felt, like just in general about like the two of them getting together, they were very surprised, because they definitely, number one, didn't think that he was going to land somebody like Simone Biles, but also Spirit saying them kind of being like, oh, that's like, doesn't seem like the normal type of girl that, we would have expected that he would have brought home, because we're used to seeing him sort of have more of a different type. But they like her. I feel like with her family, they like him and they feel like she's happy. So as long as she's happy, that's what matters. But I do feel like there's people in her family that are a little bit wary of him. And so when things do blow up, inevitably they'll be like, well, that's why I never wanted to be that friendly with him at Thanksgiving after all, because I always felt weird about this, and it's just confirming it type of stuff, sadly. So that's like being in a relationship with Drake and expecting him to be loyal. Oh my God. Ugh, I know. I feel so bad for her. I would definitely not date somebody in Hollywood, Mimi, at all. I mean, that's why you see a lot of people too that, like, when they're like, oh, why is that guy still with her? Whatever, and it's like, but there's a lot of people that did stay with, like, or got back together with, like, their first boyfriend or girlfriend, or some regular ass person that they grew up with, because they realize, like, yeah, I could go date the prettiest girls in Hollywood, but they're probably going to leave me the second some other guy that's doing better in his career at the moment comes along, and they get so tired of the fake that they want somebody that knows the real them. You knew me before I got famous. You're super fucking down to earth. Like, you don't give a shit about going to Brad Pitt's house for dinner, that kind of stuff. Which is why I told you guys that, Kenny was so appealing to Nicki, because it's like, he doesn't know her as Nicki Minaj. He knows her as Onika Mirage, And he's so down to earth, and he's not with all of the, like, industry shit. And he's not like, let's go to the Met Gala, Nicki, and I want to go here and I want to go there. Like, even, we know Kenny can't do some of that stuff right now because he's on house arrest, but... Also, Spirit saying, even if Kenny didn't have any restrictions on him and he didn't have, the record and all this stuff that, you know, people use against him, whatever, like he still would like not want to go put on a tuxedo and go to those parties. Like that's not who he is. Like Kenny's just the same person regardless, and very, very just, nope, I'm Kenny from Queens. So I love Kenny though. I think he is great for her. He seems like he is really fun. He's incredibly intelligent and articulate. He has a nice voice too. I think Kenny is cute too. But you know who's not cute? Ethan Slater. So let's move on to Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater's relationship, because apparently they're living together now. So let's see what Spirit has to say about this relationship. Sana, I don't be saying shit. Unless you call me and you pay me for a reading and we have an appointment and you were literally like, please tell me, be honest with me. I ain't saying jack shit about your relationship or any of your life choices. I'm gonna just be like, well, you're the one that has to live with that. Have fun. So well, at least you can't, hopefully, Hannah, it was like, Hannah, now's the perfect time for you to kick Seda out of the live and get her back if you want. I'm like just playing. I'm just playing. I was wondering, I was like, wait, that's not, I know what you meant, Sana, but I was like, oh, that's not English, Sana. Ethan is so not cute. Ariana's got some interesting taste is all I can say. Pick up a stick and fight back, Hannah. Oh my God. Oh boy. Well, we already got the Tower card and the underlying energy, so this is going to be a really great reading. I can already tell. And I made sure I grabbed a different deck, you guys. I always have like 3 or 4 decks on the side of me, and I switch between them, between people, so I make sure that we're not mixing up energies. So you'll get her back when she least expects it. Ooh. Hannah is a girl after my own heart, because I like to fuck with people psychologically. I will never get my get back on you immediately. I'm going to let you sit in the cut knowing that I'm plotting and planning and that you have no idea when it's coming, and you're going to always be looking over your shoulder sweating. But like a true Libra, I will have Monique's binder from the RHOP reunion already loaded and ready to go. So that way, 10 years from now, when it's the perfect time to get my lick back, here comes my binder with all of my receipts I've been saving and collecting and organizing for the last decade for your takedown. Like the true air sign that I am. And my Virgo moon, because it was my Virgo moon that organized the binder. So, yeah, it's so much fun, because you know, every time that they see you, you just be walking, you just do a little... Like, I'm not gonna bum rush you right now. I'm not gonna jump you right now. But every time I see you, it's coming. Alrighty. So, okay, we've already talked about this before, that Ariana uses, you know, guys are like the monkey bars to her, basically. So it's like, I need another guy on the monkey bar to grab onto to swing from the last one that I was on my way to the next monkey bar. Because this Spirit is saying was really supposed to be one of those relationships that was about transitioning her out of her marriage. But is he her forever guy? No. Like, she will very quickly move on from this one as soon as she, has the next one solidified, lined up, and feels like, okay, it's time to move on. It's like all of her relationships have this expiration date on them, and her feet start getting itchy, and she wants to start heading out the door. And so, in the way that Spirit showing it too was like her literally just grabbing her phone and her purse and just walking out the door. And the guy being like, don't you want your stuff? No, it's okay. Keep it. I'm going to go buy some new stuff. Like, I'm not even going to pack up a pair of socks. You can burn it. You can keep it. You can do whatever you want with it. I am so gone. Like, that's how she moves on. So this Tower card moment, what Spirit is saying, is really Ethan's Tower card moment, because Ariana does move on fairly quickly, and she's not going to sit around crying about anybody for too long. And, in the grand scheme of things, what did she really lose by leaving Dalton? Not a whole lot. I'm not putting him down. I'm just saying, like, Dalton lost more because he's the one that was really committed, thinking that he was going to have a family with this girl and spend the rest of his life with her and all of that stuff. Whereas to Ariana, it was like, whatever, again, and set the whole house on fire with my shit, and then for all I care, I'm done. So for Ethan, he blew up his whole entire fucking life and his family, and Spirit saying, we also have to remember that sometimes people do have moments where their personal life negatively affects their career. And Ariana is a big enough star that a divorce and an affair isn't really gonna ruin her career, because she's established herself as Ariana Grande, and all it takes with certain people is one good album, and then or one good movie, and then all is forgiven and everybody loves them again. But Ethan doesn't have that privilege because he's not that established. So I do feel like there were some opportunities that fell through for him in the midst of all of this, because it's like, we don't want that kind of attention on this project. And, but Ariana hasn't had any doors closed in her face, and she's not going to, at least not at this time. But their relationship has a time limit on it, and this poor man is going to feel so fucked when that time comes. And he's definitely, it's a how you got him is how you lose him, situation over here, because he's definitely going to be sitting there like, oh, like, I am the biggest cliche because she moved on with somebody else. Of course she did. And Spirit saying he's going to be sitting there feeling like boo-boo that absolute fucking fool. Because she's already annoyed with him. She's already planning her little trip away from him and her exit. And he is head over heels in love with her right now. He feels like he hit the jackpot. He's willing to weather the storm of the opportunities that didn't work out, because he's like, well, give people time. It'll pass. They'll forgive me. It's worth it because I get to be with the love of my life. And who gets to say that they dated Ariana Grande, and he really does feel like he hit the biggest lick with this, but he has a very close reminder right behind him with this Wheel of Fortune card that the wheel is always turning, which is a great reminder that if you are in a bad moment, the wheel will always turn and things will right themselves. It's the natural order of the universe. And when you put out things that require some karma to come to visit you, the wheel will turn back not in your favor. So he's what Spirit said in his little blind Delulu face right now of thinking everything is great and wonderful, but very shortly he will realize that it is not. So but she's gonna throw herself into work coming up because she wants space from him. And Spirit's saying it's like, you know, she's gets all excited for stuff. So say it's like the same way that, like, I don't know, like sometimes every once in a while I think I'm Martha Stewart and I'm gonna do crafts. And I'll like collect all this stuff and like get it all together, and then I sit down and I hot glue 2 sequins on something and I'm like, yeah, this isn't that fun. I don't want to do this anymore. It's a lot of work. And then like now I have to clean everything up and I'm bored and like I was like, fuck that. Like I'm never doing sequins again. That's how Ariana gets into relationships, and that's how she got into this one. She doesn't want to glue sequins on a box anymore. It sounded like it was a fun idea when she bought the sequins and the glue gun, but when she sat down to do it, it was no longer interesting. He is the sequin. So my kid ends up with a lot of art supplies because I'm just like, here, you want these colored pencils that I thought I was gonna like start drawing again. He does cool shit with it. He is artistic, but Ethan is the sequins. So she's gonna throw herself into work so she has an excuse to get out of that house and to have some space from him. And I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't meet her next boyfriend on her next project, because it feels very like I work with somebody and it's a very similar situation, which is going to be even more of a stab in the back to him. And really, like, we're going to be watching from the outside looking in like, damn, dude, you really got your fucking karma, didn't you? She did you exactly the same way that she did her ex-husband and you did your ex-wife. So, and she ain't gonna feel a damn thing about it, because to Ariana, and again, you guys, I love Ariana Grande. Do not get me wrong. I love her music. I think she is adorable. I don't hate her. I am so happy to see an Italian represented in mainstream media that is not anything connected to the mob for once. But she's still making us look bad too with this. But Ariana just don't really give a fuck. Like, you're there as long as you're there, and then when she's done, she's done. But I really do think that that is unhealed childhood trauma from her parents' relationships and stuff. And so it's like, I cut and run before you have the chance to hurt me or leave me. And I do think it is very related to abandonment issues and trauma from childhood that she needs to heal. But because she's distracting herself and she doesn't get super emotionally involved and connected the way that we think that she does with these relationships, that's why it's easy for her to just move on to the next thing. So yeah, it's going to be connected to work when she moves on in this next relationship. She needs to stop collabs. If I had dated her, she wouldn't work with nobody. She would be in a studio by herself all day. Oh my God. Somehow she'd end up coming out of that studio. Now she's a lesbian. And she started dating the housekeeper that cleans the studio in the evenings or something. She wouldn't be able to help herself, Sana. Then everybody'd have a new scandal. Ariana's a lesbian dating a janitor. Oh my God, Lindsay, I swear. I used to have this big old box of all these odds and ends things that I was like, that'd be cute if I started making candles again and I could decorate the jars with these things. And then like last year I was like, why do I have a box of literal trash? And I threw it all away. I am not a DIY person, and I need to stop deluding myself into thinking that I am. I will like DIY like food. Like I will like make my own yogurt and cheese, but like putting rhinestones on lampshades and all that shit, like that's just not my thing. And I have to like stop trying to convince myself that it is. Well, that's the thing, Sana, because she's not dating from her heart. She's dating from her ego. You know, and it is. I need the ego boost. I'm bored. Today I didn't feel good about myself, like whatever it is. And so it's looking for that thing that's going to make the ego feel better rather than what do you really need on a spiritual level and what really connects to and who connects to your soul. So that's why we have to heal ourselves, because our self-esteem will get in the way and push us into the ego side of us and not our spirit soul part of us. So give me a couple questions about them and then we'll move on to Miss Tia Mowry, because you guys said that she has been doing the most everywhere since her and Corey split up, and I know you guys wanted to know if she regrets it. No, Hannah, she doesn't. She doesn't care. Melissa would end up pulling her on herself. You know, listen, guys, again, because she doesn't do this with the intention of being a mean person. It really is trauma-based. Like, if you're in my Patreon, you know I've said that that girl has a shit ton of trauma. Let's not forget, you know, she worked on Nickelodeon with Dan Schneider. That alone should tell you that the girl has probably been through some shit in her life. So she's, you know, it's definitely, like I said, it's a trauma and an ego thing. It's not it's not her just being like, you know what, I want to be a wicked bitch and just go around and be a homewrecker and steal people's men and destroy people's love lives just for shits and giggles. Like, I don't think that she's even consciously aware that that's what she's doing. And when I say she doesn't care, I guess I should say she's detached and she disassociates. Because the way that Spirit said, it's not her fully connecting emotionally to these people. It's filling a void in a space to distract her from her own self and to not be alone and to have somebody there. But it's not a real, like, I was so amazing by myself and then I just met this person who was also so amazing and we had such a great connection that I brought them into my life and we built this foundation, but we were both in a great space and we can live without each other if we needed to, but we choose to show up for each other every day. Like, that's the healthy thing that we want to have in relationships. She's not doing that. It's just, I don't want to be alone. I don't like being alone with myself. I don't like not having a partner. So I'm gonna, you know, try to fill that void with just having people around. And that's why those relationships don't last, because then it's like the person that I picked to just be around, once the excitement of that wears off, then it's like, I don't actually like this person. And now I want to go make 15 movies back to back to get the fuck out of the house away from them. So, which is where she's at now. So, you know, at some point, if she lets anybody stick around long enough, Mimi, to pull her on her, it'll happen. And that's how she'll get some karma with it. But I wouldn't say that it's even karma. I would say that it's more the universe allowing something like that to happen, not to hurt her, but to try to wake her up. And because at the end of the day, guys, yes, it's fucked up that she does this, but all of these guys will heal from that situation. They will. She needs to heal herself from years of shit. They just need to heal from a bad relationship situation. There's a difference. So, any idea who her next victim is? It's gonna be some guy that she works with on some project coming up, is what Spirit is saying. So, I don't think that Ethan's gonna attempt to go back to his ex-wife, because I do not feel that she will let him back after this. And I don't know, people were saying that he was kind of using the ex-wife because, like, she comes from a rich family. I don't know. But let's move on to Tia, because I have to get off of here at a certain time. So, do you guys think that she has entered Cringe City instead of Gag City? Do you guys think that she has entered into Cringe City territory ever since her and Corey split up? Because I saw people were saying that all she does is make TikToks about how hard it is to date and weird single life things. Like, that's her whole personality now. And they were just like, she seems like the person that's trying to convince herself that she's doing the right thing and that she didn't make a mistake in making a joke out of how hard life actually is when you're single. So I'll take questions in a bit. Like, give me a second, because I want to see what Spirit and the cards have to say about if she regrets leaving Corey first. So many people can be in Cringe City. Yeah. Mowry regret divorcing her husband. Corey thank you. And you guys, I'm going to tell you something that Spirit just said. Corey's career is going to take it's going to go up. There's something that he's going to work on that's going to really push him ahead and make him into the actor that he's always wanted, and the opportunities that he's always wanted are going to start to show up, and that's going to be really hard for her. Because it's like, oh, like, the whole time we were together you were doing a thing. And I feel like at the same time Spirit saying she's going to be getting turned down for some role that she really, really wanted. So it's going to be like a gut punch to her, because she's going to be thinking, okay, I'm older. People don't want to work with me anymore, you know, because women seem to have a shelf life, you know, and Hollywood. And once they get to a certain age, it's like, okay, well, you're either going to play the grandma or you're not going to have any jobs. And so she's going to be having a moment of struggling with that, watching Corey all of a sudden, like, his career start to really take off. And that is going to be a real struggle for her, because Spirit is saying that she does have this thing that she's constantly battling in her of worrying that he's going to move on before she does. And it's like, I want to beat him. I want to have a new relationship before him. I want to get remarried. I am supposed to win the breakup. And so she's, Spirit saying it's like she literally has this, like, in a hurry energy to her. Like, I have to hurry up and do this. I have to do that. I have to be the first one that does blah, 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 because people are going to drag me. If Corey ends up, you know, showing up engaged to some woman who's amazing, then everybody's going to be like, wow, see what happens? Tia's never going to find anybody. And Corey, of course, did, because he's better. Like, that's what plays in her head and motivates her. Which is weird. Yeah, she's definitely regretting what has happened. She thought the grass was greener on the other side. I told you guys before that she was the one that was talking to other people behind his back, not the other way around, and that she wanted to go pursue other guys. But those other guys, once she was fully single, all of a sudden were no longer available. So there's a lot of being delusional and lying to herself at the moment and trying to convince herself that she didn't make a mistake, but Spirit saying again, this is starting to be a Tower card moment for her where she is realizing, you know what, maybe I was going through a midlife crisis and I should have gone to therapy rather than break up my family. And the problem on Corey's end, what Spirit's saying is that he still does love her, but he can't forgive and trust her. Like, he's aware that there was other guys around. She doesn't know that he knows this. But he has found out about that. And so with everything, it's like, yes, I love you, but I feel like I can never trust you again. And as much as, you know, it really broke me to have this situation happen because he didn't want it, at the same time, it's like, I can't put myself back in that space again because Spirit's saying that he feels like he's healing. He feels like doors are opening for him. He feels like, you know what, maybe I was supposed to be out of that situation and maybe God was, you know, telling me a message that I just didn't know and he had to make her leave me for me to see it. Like, he's starting to have that type of thinking where she's starting to have the thinking of, shit, I fucked up. I want my man back and he don't want to come back home. I don't feel like he's super in a space where he's stressed about trying to find anybody else quite yet. He is going to meet somebody before this next year ends. It may be that he also ends up with somebody that he works with on one of these new projects that I see in store for him. He's got a shit fucking ton of, like, you guys, his financial year coming up is going to be really good for him. We have this girl showing up as the Queen of Cups with the 10 of Cups attached to her and the World card. Spirit saying, again, this is we connected because of a work opportunity is how we met. But this woman comes in unexpected. It's like we literally just, I was working on a movie. She was there too. We just became instant best friends. Nobody was trying to like do anything. Like, it naturally happens that we fell in love with each other. And Spirit is saying that she is going to be she's going to be great with his kids. And this woman like comes back and like puts his life back together in a better way and gives him what he was missing that he doesn't even know. The Spirit's saying it's like once he gets with her, he's like, oh, this is the type of marriage that I was supposed to be having. I didn't even know I was like missing out on so much of this stuff because my relationship with Tia was so normalized because I was so used to it that I didn't realize like, oh, like she wasn't as like lovey-dovey or affectionate with me as maybe I like needed from a partner. She didn't really make me feel super masculine and like I was the man. Like, I did actually feel emasculated a lot, but this person is making me really like step into my power and my masculine energy as a man. This is like gonna be a really great relationship for him and all of these things that are coming through because he's showing up in the underlying energy as the King of Coins again, talking about having all this opportunity and things working out for him. And Spirit keeps saying, finally, like, this is what I've been working towards. Like, the Spirit's saying, like, Corey feels like Tia looked down on him and emasculated him and was like, oh, like, you're not the breadwinner and you're not doing this and you're not doing that. Whereas he looks at it like, I was trying. I was going on auditions. I was doing everything that I could to network and to try to get myself in those spaces. But the doors were closing, so what was I supposed to do? It's not my fault, and you as another actor should understand that. And she didn't give him that grace for that, but she would still be like, no, like, you should pursue acting, don't quit, when he would say, maybe I should give up on this. And so now everything's starting to come the way that he feels like all of this hard work, all of these years, it's finally paying off. And he's getting public recognition plus more just love in general in his life with the Nine of Cups. And that is solely because we have the Temperance card here talking about this being a spiritual thing. His ancestors have been working on his behalf and they're working to bring these things to his life. And it's like, it's your turn to have some blessings and we're playing a part in making that happen for you. Don't be surprised if he doesn't have more kids with this lady that he ends up with too. That's also gonna destroy Tia. And the funny thing that Spirit's saying is like now, because you know how we mentioned earlier of her not having certain, you know, I went out for some roles and they picked other people and I didn't get the parts. Like Spirit's saying, it's like the universe is also letting that happen for her because she needs to make some changes too. If she really wants to move on and have a different kind of a relationship and have the relationships that she thought she was going to have when she pursued the single life, she has a lot of work that she needs to do on herself because the type of men that she wants, she can't emasculate. The types of relationships that she wants, she's not in the space to be the person that she needs to be in order for those types of relationships to be successful. You know, if you want somebody who's going to be, say, for example, super loving and affectionate with you and this and that, you can't be cold yourself. You can't be somebody that's like, oh, I don't like to hug, you know, because it's like, how's that going to work? No, like you need to be physically affectionate too if you want that type of a partner. And so Spirit's saying it's like the universe is going to make her have some of these experiences, not to punish her, but to open up her eyes so she can see where she needs to change and she needs to heal and become a better person for her own sake in order to have the things that she wants come to fruition. So she kind of is a little bit of a mini Jada Pinkett, I have noticed from the readings that I've done on this relationship, the way that she kind of was not letting Corey be a man. So, yeah, she's definitely focused on all the wrong things. So let's see what Spirit has to say about her having any sort of relationships going forwards. And then if you have any questions, put them in the chat because I got to get off of here in about 15 minutes. So let's see, Spirit. Can you tell me what she has going forwards? Thank you. Spirit's also saying that she thought that she was going to find somebody else that was kind of like in the industry themselves, but maybe had like a little bit of a higher position, like I'm a director or a producer, you know, and I'm the one that like does like all of the Tyler Perry movies or something. So it's like, yeah, you're not Steven Spielberg, but you work consistently. You have access to get people into projects and you make a good amount of money because you're always working. Like she thought at least she would get that, if not like another like somewhat known kind of an actor and or musician or something. And none of the industry guys have really chased after her the way that she thought. And the funny thing is that I feel like she's gonna have some sort of a like, and Spirit saying it really is kind of like you're settling in order to have a relationship just because you don't want to be alone anymore. And it's like I'm not taking just, babe, I don't take can somebody let Ultimate Nirvana know what's going on, please? I don't take requests for random readings, babe. if you want to put in requests like that, you can join us on Patreon, but this is only about Tia right now. So anyways, but Spirit was saying that she thought, you know, she was going to have people like that, like knocking on her door. She doesn't. And so I feel her like dating somebody that's kind of normal-ish or somebody that we don't really know. And that is, the funny thing is, I feel like if we do get to know about this person, people clowning her because they will be like, hey, like we're why would you dump Corey and act like he wasn't shit just for you to go like date some dude that owns a landscaping company? Like, you know, real like regular schmegular type of guy, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like not what you would expect from somebody that was really willing to break up their whole family because they thought they could do better, and then you date the guy that owns the company that maintains your yard. And that will not make her happy and it won't last. But that's what I see her, you know, kind of doing right now is jumping into the wrong thing. She's got a lot of work that she needs to do on herself before she'll really end up with anybody really, but also her person, because I do feel like it's just, girl, not only was the grass not greener on the other side of the fence, it was covered in weeds, and then even the weeds were dead. Like, everything is dead on the other side of the fence. There's some kind of locust came and, like, destroyed it or something. Like, it's bad. But again, Spirit saying she's not going to find her match until she does the work on herself. Until then, and she becomes a soulmate in order for her to find a soulmate. So she did. I mean, this was literally, it's just screaming. I had a midlife crisis and really thought that things were going to be better out there than they were, and did not expect that, you know, she was going to miss her husband. Poor Corey. I mean, she would not man through it. Like, I wouldn't fucking take you back either. I'd be like, hell no. You divorced me because you thought you were going to go run around in the streets? Have fun in the fucking streets, bitch. Stay outside. I'm not letting you come back. Is this making her sister more scared to leave her husband? No. I think Corey's so cute. Oh my God, you know what Spirit was saying too? It even crossed her mind, like, what if me and somebody that I used to be on the game with ended up together? That'd be cute. But Pooch is married, and he's been married to the same woman for like 100 million years. So he's off the table. I mean, I don't think Hosea wants to be with her. I'm trying to think who the fuck else was on that damn show that she could go after me. Because she really was just like, well, everybody'd be into that. Like, you know, Melanie and Derwin part 2 in real life or whatever. But it's like Derwin's taken and he's been taken and he's got a family. Plus, so, oh yeah, that would be weird too. I just get the sense that like Hosea likes her as a friend, but he kind of thinks that she's a hot fucking mess when it comes to relationships, and it's like, I'm good. So, what did you miss? Well, all of the readings, we were actually just getting to the tail end and wrapping things up. So, oh my gosh. It's okay. You know what though? Like when people have the name Corey too, because it's spelled both ways, like I'm always like, wait, which way are you supposed to spell it? Like I get so confused between the two also. But I feel like she takes her frustration about how her career is on him. The real problem is that she wants to be a power couple, but isn't a power girl in the first place. I agree with that because that's what Spirit was saying is that, all of the stuff that she was basically like blaming on him, it was like you're looking for an excuse as to why you're not happy with your life. But when it came down to it, none of it was Corey stuff. It's like she was, okay, I'm going to go through menopause and I'm getting older and I have gray hair. And, I don't know, like, how much more of a career in Hollywood I'm going to have. And, like, is this the rest of my life? Just, making TikToks and being a mom. And it's like, instead of recognizing, like, why don't you go, like, I don't know, buy the rights to a fucking book and try to, like, produce a movie yourself or, like, stuff that she could have done. It would just started being, you know what? It's Corey. Corey's the problem. Look at the way that he walks in the room in the morning. That's so annoying. That Corey left his toothbrush on the counter the other day. Fuck him. And it just became like transference, and he became the source of all of her problems in her mind rather than it being you are going through a moment that's your own stuff. And that's like what's interesting too that Spirit's also saying right now. When I said that like joke, like why don't you just like go buy the rights to a book and like produce a movie then, is that Spirit's saying for as much as she would like get on Corey or act like he wasn't shit because like he wasn't like, getting the movie roles that Michael B. Jordan was getting, like he was in Tyler Perry movies and Lifetime type stuff and playing on different sitcoms and things like that, that she could have tried to do stuff that would have been projects that both of them could have worked on, and she never did. Like, she could have bought the rights to a movie, went to a Tyler Perry or a Lee Daniels or Carlos King even, or anybody that's like a producer, and said, hey, help me out here, introduce me to the right people, like show me the ropes, whatever, and gotten that moving forwards and casted her and her husband to play the starring roles, and she didn't even do stuff like that. So it's just like, well, how are you gonna get mad at your husband? But like, you could have done things that would have helped him. Because Spirit's saying she never once ever extended anything like, let me call somebody and say, hey, did you know my husband's available for roles? Like, she never tried to help that man with his career, but she always belittled him when she felt like he wasn't doing enough in it. So, because it's like she wanted him to just go out there, star in Creed 3, and then pay all the bills and like just, and then she didn't have to like play any part in it. But that's not always how things work, and that's why it's called partners. And Spirit's saying she should have realized, what she was expecting of that man wasn't realistic, but she couldn't see that. Same way that Jada does that shit to Will. Will is the source of all of her problems and her fucking misery. And it's like, you don't like yourself. It's not Will's fault that you don't like yourself, Jada. Let that poor man go, because he seems to like himself outside of you. And go do some real healing. Stop fucking taking shrooms and calling that healing. But actually really go to a real fucking therapist. And that's the crazy part too. Like, I know, I just wanted to say this real quick to wrap up that I think is interesting. Doesn't anybody find it highly hypocritical that Jada did that whole Red Table Talk show, and it was supposed to be about solving problems and healing, but it just really became a platform for her to embarrass and humiliate and punish Will even more. But she really was like, oh yeah, we're gonna bring it back. After you just exposed how toxic and problematic you really fucking are over the past few years, then you think that you're gonna drag that table to another network and then have the audacity to sit your ass down on it and tell everybody else what to do with themselves. Girl, unless she's gonna do some live therapy sessions like Prince Harry did, I don't want to see it. Because she has no right to fix her mouth to tell anybody that they're doing anything wrong in any area of their life ever again. Unless she decides it's either that better be a therapy table and the only two people sitting at it is you and the fucking psychiatrist who diagnosed you, or you're gonna sit at that table and tell the truth about how Tupac never asked you to marry him. He's not the love of your life, that you have overinflated and over-exaggerated your relationship with that man in order to boost yourself and to punish Will some more. And while you're at it, why don't you tell everybody why you hate Will so much? What did you catch him doing that made you lose all respect for him? And you said, you know what, for life, it's on from now on. Tell us that. Otherwise, shut the fuck up, Jada. We're done. Well, oh, and then the other thing that I forgot about the table too, it was for male celebrities to go grovel and apologize and humiliate themselves at, because remember when Snoop Dogg called Gail a dog-ass bitch, and then he had to go on the Red Table Talk with his tail tucked between his legs and apologize, and guess the fuck what? What has happened since then, though? People have done nothing but talk about how problematic Gail and Oprah are. And I'm like, you know what? We need to go apologize to Snoop Dogg, because he was right. Not that he should have called her a bitch, but he was right for getting mad at her because she was asking Lisa Leslie, when they were doing a Kobe Bryant tribute, about his essay allegations. And it was like, Gail, read the fucking room. Now is not the time. And we know you and Oprah love to destroy black men and their legacies and overinflate everything that ever happened to them in life to destroy them in memoriam, like you did to Michael Jackson. And people got sick of it. And Snoop called her out for it. That's where that originated from. But now look at how many years we are later, and everybody's like, Gail is always doing some shit. I'm like, well, maybe we should apologize to Snoop and he can take his apology back. Because Gail was out of pocket. I don't think he should have called her a dog-ass bitch, but I don't think he was wrong in calling her out for that either. So, yeah, Oprah was behind even leaving Neverland. Oprah's the reason why Russell Simmons is living in freaking Thailand or wherever the hell he is, because she was gonna do one on him. So, and now she abandoned that. But like, people, I was watching that somebody said the other day, maybe it was 50 Cent, that he was like, where's your documentaries on Epstein and Weinstein and people that we know for sure that your ass was around when they were doing their dirt? You don't have jack shit to say about those white men that got exposed that you were buddy-buddy with, but you're so quick to want to go ruin a black man's life or his legacy off of allegations and no real evidence, because that's the thing. The difference between you speculating about Michael Jackson or Kobe, they were not convicted of those things, but all of their cases were dropped, versus Epstein and Weinstein that we know, they did their shit. So somebody needs to sue Oprah, honestly. And then that is also why I tell you guys, don't be sitting there stressing out because Nikki hasn't sued anybody yet. It's chess, not checkers. She is waiting for Kenny's case to wrap up, because when he wins, guess what? Everybody that called him, all of the things that they had to say about him, we have proof in a court of law that he didn't do XYZ thing, and neither did I. So now everybody that was running around saying that we did, as a fact, we have all of the evidence that we need. Slam dunk case that you have now committed slander and libel and defamation, and now your ass is gonna be fucking toast when I sue you. So, and guess what? When that happens, and Carlos and Offcheat get exposed for being behind a lot of the harassment and stories that blogs were running with, then somebody's really going to see what a hate train is really about. Because, you know, those people that don't have the money for multiple court cases the way that Carlos does will be very quick to throw her ass under the bus to save themselves. So, yep. But that's why I was like, Nikki has good ass lawyers. You know that they told her, let Kenny win his case, because then we debunk everything and then it's easy. You have no defense. So, anyways, guys, if you wanted to book your own personal private reading with me, you have 5 days left to get 45% off with code December at checkout on psychicbellolove.com. I will not be doing regular sales next year because I gotta pay all these inflation bills the same as everybody else. And I lowered my rates a lot over the past few years, so they will still stay at the price that they're at currently. They're not going up, but I just can't afford to keep doing the sales anymore. So if you wanted to take advantage, do so now. Also, patreon.com/psychicbellolove. That is the only place that I accept requests for celebrity readings. We also have exclusive content over there. We go live each week. And in the meantime, guys, make sure you like this live and you are subscribed on the way out. It is a free way to help the channel. We will be back live next Tuesday, and you guys will get a video sometime this week as well. So I love you all. If you don't see or hear from me before then, I hope you have a great rest of your year and a happy new year. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye.